I personally just, there's almost no doubt in my mind that Blizzard will have many solutions down the road for us. Because, to be frank, when I see the Battle.net 2.0 interface, it looks like something that has not been in development for a very long time. So it makes me think that perhaps they, and by the way, this is complete total speculation. I know people at Blizzard, but this is me just making stuff up right now. But when I see that, I'm like, well, this looks like something that hasn't been worked on for that long. And I know for a fact that when Blizzard releases StarCraft 2, it's not like they're going to fire all the Battle.net 2.0 people and be like, well, we got out of you what we needed, and let's just sell some copies. I mean, they're going to be working on the Battle.net 2.0 service, making it better, adding features, and StarCraft 2 is being released in 3 parts. It's very unusual in the current way that games are being released to have episodic content. I think Telltale Games is one of the very few episodic content game makers out there, and they do very small-scale stuff. And Blizzard is doing epic, gigantic scale stuff. So I think that Blizzard, as a big company with a lot of resources, would clearly have enough time and enough manpower to put these in. And again, Blizzard famously cares about their community. I mean, they have BlizzCon, which is basically a giant community event where people just party and hang out and think about how awesome Blizzard games are. And they do a lot of community support and a lot of community outreach. And I've even spoken to some people at Blizzard about the stuff that I've been doing, and they've been very enthusiastic about it, and just giving me thumbs up. Cool. When people, say, "Oh, missing chat rooms, missing all this stuff," I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I wish they were there totally, but I just think that Blizzard will pull through. I think that so many people have been spoiled by how amazing the StarCraft 2 competitive scene is that they're expecting a game on the day of release. Well, actually, hell, in the beta stage of testing, they're expecting it to be at that caliber of quality. And I just don't quite think that that's a reasonable expectation. I think if you just back your expectations off a little bit, you look at StarCraft 2 and go, wow, this is pretty damn good. And then a few months down the line, I think that it will start becoming this gigantic eSports phenomenon.
I think that is a reasonable estimate. And as I said many, many times before, Blizzard has proven themselves over the years, and they do deserve the benefit of a doubt. But,
yeah.
I think we can all agree that the game in itself, the most important thing, is solid and not perfectly balanced, even though imbalance is perhaps an expression we do not entirely subscribe to. But it's definitely getting there, I would say, and I know you agree. But what will it take in-game, outside the game, in terms of infrastructure and community work, so to speak, to make it the esport we want it to be? Visionary thinking. What is required? We mentioned MLG. What is necessary?
I mean, I think that coverage is a big thing. I also think that more places for there to be communities and little micro communities. And I think that, for instance, what Xeris and Hazily Nut did with the Collegiate StarCraft League was just a prime example of that. I mean, the fact that they organized a ridiculous number of universities to take part. And as a result, little esports teams sprung up at each of these individual universities. I know, for instance, USC has an esports team, and we would have fun, in the computer lab playing games. We wouldn't really train hardcore, too much, and we'd go out to Korean barbecue and talk about StarCraft, and it was just a lot of fun. And I think that that is something that is increasingly easy with the spread of the internet, and I think that there should be more, just more tools for people to set that sort of stuff up. I think that that's what's really going to cause it to take off.
Oh, that is interesting, and I think that's very much what's happening right now. I mean, there's even some little small embryonic movements in Sweden to create sort of StarCraft content and commentaries and the whole shebang on Swedish.
Yeah.
It's met with some negative voices from orthodox aspects of the community, perhaps, because it's always been an international thing, but I believe it can be both. So that is exciting. And speaking of coverage, you're in a spearhead position in terms of amount of viewers and general pull in the community, so to speak. And
yay!
But you've been involved for 12, 13 years now and been consistently providing content. But there are a lot of new people springing up through the woodwork, doing their thing. We mentioned Husky in HD, who are quite successful with what they're doing now, a year into the game with their quite epic invitational tournament in which you participated with your brother and all that.
Yeah. Where I built a reactor instead of a tech lab and lost the game like an idiot. Yeah, totally remember that one. That memory's burned into my skull.
Well, that was a famous episode of Starcraft 2. But
yeah.
What do you think of the sort of the newcomers to the game? Do you have any words of advice or words of caution, perhaps?
What's giving me pause is when you said words of caution. Never really thought about words of caution. I'll do words of advice first.
You do that.
The first one that I would always say is play the game. Make sure you actually know the game. Because a lot of times people get very excited about, I can do a commentary video and a few thousand people will watch it. Awesome. But it's very hard to keep making content and to actually feel okay as a person unless you really, really know the game a lot. Because, for instance, with another project that I was working on, completely unrelated to Starcraft. It was with an area I didn't really have too much expertise in, but I had to do a series of presentations, and I literally felt panicked, by the fourth or fifth one, and there were 6 total, because I was just like, God, I'm running out of stuff to say, So I think that knowing the game not only gives you the perspective you need to be able to be a good commentator, but also it's just it'll relax you and it'll make you feel happier and more fun. Because honestly, the daily for me is an absolute delight doing just one StarCraft show every single night. It's so much fun because I log in. For instance, I'm doing Brad Ox Terran vs. Terran, and I have some replays selected, and I'm going to load them up, and I literally am trying to figure out patterns in his play. Not just for the viewer, but also because I'm going, man, and how could I mimic that so that I could actually do this well? And by the process of articulating that, it's useful for me. So that definitely is the number one thing that I would say for commentary. Know thy game. Train in thy game. And probably the second most and the second most important thing is just to keep doing it. I cannot tell you how many people I've known who said, "Hey, man, I'm going to start doing a lot of StarCraft commentary. Just check me out." And they'll keep it up for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll just burn out, or they'll become disinterested, or worse, they'll become discouraged. They'll go, "Oh, my viewership numbers aren't so great. Because like when I started, my first daily had 58 viewers. Yeah, 58 viewers. I felt I was pretty pleased with myself. And then, oh my God, I started getting like 200 or 300. And I just kept doing it. And the numbers were exciting to me, but it was the act of doing the commentary that was my number one priority. So, just kept doing it and it worked out well. So I think I had a third one, but those 2 are pretty damn good. Sticking to them.
So essentially... know thy game and love thy game. You gotta believe in it.
Yeah.
You gotta feel it. Otherwise, it won't shine through. And if you got it, then by all means do it. Kind of thing.
And a little addendum I would add. There have been days where I have done a daily where I just thought, I really would rather not do this today. I'm just tired. But it's those days that I think that it was most important that I did do it. And I didn't half-ass it either. I really just, hyped myself up. It was like, all right, just one final push through this. And I would do it, and in the end, I would be like, yes, awesome, all right. And, for instance, up to this point, I have never been late for a daily. Once or twice, I've delayed it like 5 or 10 minutes because, oh, my God, my coffee is not done yet. I need to wait for the coffee to finish so I can be awake. or that sort of thing. But I mean, I've never been late, and I've made that such a high priority. And I've never canceled a daily unless there is some sort of huge crisis, like I'm super ill or I am not at my computer or something like that. And I mean, that is really what I mean about that sort of dedication. I'd probably say of the 137 episodes I think I've done, there are probably 5 to 10 where I was just like, I really don't want to do it. But I think those were the days that it was most important that I delivered something good.